It's pretty interesting. When I came into this, I was thinking all about forgiveness, but actually there's a much bigger story here. Is this the most forgiving driver on the market for 2024? Let's find out. Ping usually religiously stick to a 2-year driver schedule in terms of new launches. So when something else comes out in between, you know it's going to be pretty good. Now, this is not an entirely new driver, it's actually an addition to the existing range. So we've still got a Ping G430 Max, but it's also a 10K. So what does that mean? 10K is all about forgiveness, and it actually refers to something called the MOI of the driver, and that's because it's hit at over 10,000 in that MOI measurement. Now, this is per grams per centimetre squared. Have I lost you yet? I've probably lost you. Basically, this is a measurement of how forgiving the club head is. MOI stands for moment of inertia, and it's all about when you hit that club off centre, we know you do it, how much the club head twists. Having more weight at the edge of the club makes it more stable and stops it twisting as much. So it means those off-centre strikes are going to be more stable, straighter and more consistent. It's what we all need. We pretend we don't, but we do. So, how have Ping done this? Because visually it looks pretty similar to the Max, but there are a few things that are different. First up, let's talk about the crown. We've got that carbon fly wrap that comes over on the top here, which we previously only saw in the LS. And the reason for this is it's 5 grams lighter than this crown. That means we can take more weight and put it in this back weight at the back, which is heavier than we've seen before. This also has the biggest profile of any Ping driver ever. Now, that doesn't mean it's more than that 460cc mark, that's kind of the legal limit of the size of the club head, but it's just that they've used that volume to reshape to make it look bigger. It's definitely confidence inspiring, but I also think they've not kind of overdone it. It doesn't look silly behind the golf ball. In terms of the club face, they've also made this shallower and thinner, which means it just has a bit more flexibility to give you those faster ball speeds. Ping are also saying that oversized shape has been designed to help you square the golf ball up, which is pretty interesting, probably not something I've heard before. So let's see how that works in theory. Now, I've hit this in an indoor sim, so I've got data, but it's going to be interesting to see what the consistency and the ball flight's like out here, actually on the golf course. Wow, that launched high. So this is a 9-degree club head. I have lofted it up just because I've been using more of like the 10.5 mark recently, so that's where I've set it to. You do have that flexibility on these loft sleeves. You can go 1.5 degrees either way. Not gonna lie, I really liked that ball flight. Blocked it. Definitely left the face open a bit on that last one, but to be honest, it didn't move as much as I thought it could have done. Which is quite nice. I'm telling you, if you're struggling to get the ball in the air, you're not going to have a problem with this. That bad shot hit was like so far out of the toe. I didn't even really notice. I guess that's the 10,000 MI for you. Now, one thing I would say traditionally with Ping drivers is you do find them forgiving, but they're not always the quickest. And actually, I think that's kind of been a little bit different with this model, which was surprising given the tech and the theme of the club. So in the launch monitor, my average carry distance was 237, which is pretty long. Like my ball speed on average was up at nearly 142, and I was getting decent spin like 2,600, so it wasn't like I was low spin knuckle bombing it to get those numbers either. So to be honest, in terms of data, that's like right on the money, and I was pretty impressed with that. It is very consistent. I would maybe argue I probably don't need to loft it up as much as I have to. Now, what I would actually like to do is, I've hit this inside, I've got the data, I'm really pleased with that. I'm loving the consistency. What's the difference between this and the Max if you're someone who's not sure which model to go for? So let's just do a little head-to-head and see how we get on. Let's start with the 10K. Given we've got it out, probably not expecting as much carry distance out here today in the cold as I was getting inside. Nice stable ball flight though. I like that because my bad shot's a pull, and I pulled that, but it's still on the left edge of the fairway, which is very helpful. That club speed was quite a bit higher than I would typically see from Ping as well. I think the numbers are telling me I definitely shouldn't have lofted this up. I'm getting a lot of spin here. Let's try this in 9 degrees to bring that spin down a little bit. It's better. Still kept the height though, which is pretty interesting. But not what you would have expected. See how much that spin's dropped, which has brought the carry up, which has brought up like my ball speed, my carry, and my like total as well. That felt powerful. That was very toey, but it's in the middle of the fairway. I guess that is the point, isn't it? When you hit it good, the ball flies so good. Alright, let's do a swap back into the regular max head. See what the differences are. Just one thing Ping need to improve. Just getting the club heads on and off is really hard. There's no moment of inertia there. Right, max. To be honest, it doesn't look excessively smaller. Same shaft, both 9 degrees. Oh gosh. Actually went quite a lot lower. Probably did strike it slightly lower on the face though. That was definitely more centre strike and I got my flight back. So that's good. It doesn't quite feel as fast, which is weird. Wasn't what I was expecting, but I get this the shallow face story. With the 10k it does make sense that there would be a little bit more ball speed. I would say so far the most noticeable difference is this doesn't fly quite as high. We've obviously got more back weight in the 10k, which is giving you more height. And I hit some pretty bad strikes with the 10k that were in the fairway. And to be honest, they were with this, but they were more low on the face than toe or heel, and they just didn't get the same distance at all. I think that's probably one of the ones you would compare to more of my toey right strikes with the other one. And it definitely saw a massive drop on it, particularly in height. You know, when you catch it good, it's still really good. Although that felt great and it didn't fly as far as the 10k did. So just take out those shots that hit where it was set at 10.5 loft. Just not a great comparison. But it's quite interesting really. If we look at like the ones with the 10k, there's definitely a lot more consistency in terms of both straightness and distance. You can see here in the blue where I didn't quite catch them as well, like this was low on the face and this was a bit heely. Like they've definitely not gone as far, which tells that real forgiveness story that we're looking at. And actually my best ones up here were carrying quite a bit further. Yeah, 4 to 5 yards further is really big difference in theory like the same model. You know, my clubhead speed was up 2 miles an hour with the 10k, which you wouldn't guess from the oversized story, but I guess we do have that shallower face and I wonder if there's a bit of change to aerodynamics that helped with that. My ball speed was up nearly 2 miles an hour with the 10k and my launch angle was up 1.5 degrees. Interesting, the spin was like 150 RPM less, but actually on average the height was 10 to 11 feet higher on average, which was giving me a nearly 10 yards extra of carry distance on average. So 220 compared to 211. It's pretty noticeable differences. It's pretty interesting. When I came into this, I was thinking all about forgiveness, but actually there's a much bigger story here. The ball speed and the distance is really interesting that that's increased. And I could definitely feel, I think on those off-center strikes that you're getting loads more forgiveness, which we all need that. That's the ones that, you know, give you those double, triple bogeys that wreck your scorecard. And actually, if we take them out, we're going to play much more consistent golf. So for a lot of us, having a driver that works better on those bad shots, it's going to be better than that kind of extra 5 yards on a good shot. Although the benefit of this driver is it's giving you both.